Welcome everybody, my name's Joanne McIntyre, Editor-in-Chief of Stainless Steel World, the information platform behind the global stainless steel industry information channels. You may know us from our monthly magazine and our various Stainless Steel World and Duplex World conferences and exhibitions. Today I'm talking to Tim Collins, Secretary General of the World Stainless Association. We'll discuss the use of stainless steels in hygienic applications, and Tim, I know this is a hot topic for you. So one of the key things that we wanted to discuss is you've got a new research fellow at World Stainless. Tell me about that.
Okay, so thanks, Joanne, for the nice introduction. The new research fellow is allocated to us, but hasn't yet officially started. But that's not a problem in the scheme of things, because it gives us sufficient time to do the preparatory work that's needed on this project. But just to put things in context, the sort of cookware products industry is a huge global industry for domestic applications, and it's valued in excess of $31 billion a year. And that doesn't include all the small items that are used as kitchen utensils. So the true size, when you bring all the products into sort of view, is much, much larger. The worry we have is there's been much academic research over the past 10 years that shows that some materials that have been regularly adopted as kitchenware products are actually damaging our health. And that's a big concern. And when these products were launched, and I sort of go back to 1955, the dawn of the throwaway society, look at the products that emerged and the materials they were made from, everything looked sensible, usable, affordable, had all the right characteristics. But as we've gradually understood more about certain products, and I'll focus on plastics and ceramic coatings, then we've started to see more problems emerging. And just to put things in context as an opening shot, recent research from the University of New Mexico has showed that the accumulation of microplastics in human brains has more than doubled in only 8 years. And those microplastics don't go away, they sit there. And research from other universities as well, particularly the University of Colorado in the USA, has shown that microplastics ingested cross the blood-brain barrier in less than 30 minutes after ingestion. So we've got a societal problem that I don't think was born out of maliciousness. It was born out of trying to use novel materials in an affordable way. But I think as a society, we have to recognize the problem we now understand and change our thinking for the good of humanity. So for me, that puts things in context. We're doing a lot of preparatory work. The research fellow will start with us early in June, and this will be the gentleman's project for 12 months to look at this in detail, assimilate all the academic research that's been undertaken, and then we will produce a publicity campaign, a set of case studies, and other promotional materials. There's already much out on social media that is not detracting from the direction we're planning to go down, but what we intend to do is make things more logical and scientific. Not to scare people, but a little bit of fear is no bad thing, but to make people aware. And also, of course, we're focusing on stainless steel, but it's the notion of stainless steel is the sort of buy once, last forever material. And I think we need to get back to that notion in society that it's not about throwaway things. It's not about single use or low usage materials. It really is about buy the thing that's right for your application, buy the thing that's safe, buy the thing that's hygienic. And stainless is one of relatively few materials that ticks all those boxes. So I hope that sort of puts things in context, Joanne.
Yeah, it does. That's a great start. Thanks, Tim. And of course, we see a lot of stainless steel in industrial applications for food, like commercial kitchens and food and beverage facilities where they're making industrial scale of products. But what about in the home environment? Because this is a problem that affects all of us. So how can we utilize the benefits of stainless steel at home?
Well, the solution's quite easy, although enacting the solution is not so straightforward. But let me just sort of go back for a moment to the sort of more commercial or industrial kitchen environments, and they use huge amounts of stainless steel. But when you think about foods that are prepared in advance through factory systems, they also use some degree of plastics. And a lot of the plastics are not in the food contact areas, and that's great, and they're used for good reason. But things like high density polyethylene can be used for food conveyor systems. And on its first use, there's absolutely nothing wrong with high density polyethylene. But once it starts to become recycled, then you have problems. And I would argue that it is never correct to use recycled plastics for further food preparation or containment, because you get the leaching of not only microplastic, but toxins that were put into the plastics to make them malleable and usable in a form. So plastics come with it some inherent challenges. Plastics are useful. I am not anti-plastic, but I am pro-hygiene. And I think that's where we need to think. If we are accumulating microplastics in our bodies, we need to use food contact materials that will not leach out nasty substances into our food, that will not abrade when we use. And I think this is where we start to look at stainless in the home kitchen. Many of our pots and pans are made from stainless. We are accustomed to that and they're great. But frying pans often tend to contain Teflon coatings, which are claimed as non-stick. And indeed they are, but they leach off a fume that leads to something called Teflon flu. And the strange thing about Teflon flu is it doesn't tend to stick with people forever, but it's not pleasant. But it also affects animals in the home more quickly than it affects humans. So if you've got pets, you're actually exposing your pets to this risk too. And the cost of veterinary bills is never low, I would say, around the world. So I think we have to think in a holistic way that stainless is expensive, yes, but it solves many other problems. So if you think about using your cash wisely, stainless not only becomes the hygienic choice, the choice that protects your family, your friends, society, but it saves you cash elsewhere. And I think those are the features that we should focus on, and we should show that stainless can be used. So getting away from ceramic coated pans, getting away from Teflon coated pans and working with stainless is where I see things as sort of important, hygienic and safe. But stainless is different. The way you cook with stainless needs to be different. The rules are not hard. There are only 4 key rules, but people need to learn them. We've created a simplicity in society that is great in many respects, but there is baggage that comes with that, and the baggage is not good for our health. So I hope that again sort of reflects a number of important factors in response to that sort of area of interest, Joanne.
Okay, that's really clear. Thanks for that explanation, Tim. Just to round off quickly, I wonder if you could give us, just in layman's terms, a quick explanation of why exactly stainless steel is inherently hygienic.
Okay, I mean, the explanation is quite simple. Stainless is one of a small number of materials, primarily metals, they're all metals in fact, known as the passive film materials, and it includes aluminium and titanium in this same family. And what happens is that these metals form an invisible oxide coating on their surface in the presence of oxygen. Now, most people think, well, that's okay in the open air, and of course it is. But oxygen is present in water and other liquids, so the passive film will form in water too, no problem. And this film is an oxide of one of the primary metals in the metal or alloy. So in the case of stainless, it's a chromium oxide. It forms automatically in the presence of oxygen, as I said, as long as the chromium content is greater than 10.5%. And the beauty of the passive film is it's self-repairable. So if you damage it, if you took something as sort of horrendous as an axe to a piece of stainless and slammed the axe onto the stainless surface, the passive film would be damaged momentarily, but it would self-repair. And that ensures there are no crevices in the surface that bacteria can harbour in as well. So the fact that it restores the smoothness of the surface is one of the sort of magic tricks of products like stainless. Now, I touched on titanium as well. Titanium is a great product, but it's a little more expensive than stainless. So when you come to sort of economic thinking, stainless is probably a better choice. Aluminium I touched on as well. Aluminium has problems at high temperatures and with acidic and spicy foods, so can be used for cold food work, but I would never use aluminium when you're cooking because it will leach out. There is this sort of relation to onset of Alzheimer's with aluminium, because there is no doubt people who have dementia or Alzheimer's have high levels of aluminium in their brains. So whilst the causal issue is not completely proven, it's not disproven either. So stainless is one of the very few materials that has these perfect hygienic properties. It's not toxic and it's 100% recyclable. And today, more than 96% of end-of-life stainless steels get captured and recycled into new stainless steels. And many other industries can boast that level of circular economy benefits. So I think stainless becomes this almost utopian material that has all the right characteristics that you'd want in society. And I would argue that paying a small amount extra for your food turner or your cooking spoon or whatever in stainless for something that will last 3 generations plus and will always look attractive is where we should be moving as a society.
Fantastic. I completely agree with you. Thank you, Tim Collins from World Stainless Association, for joining us on the Stainless Steel World podcast today. We look forward to speaking to you again in the future. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joanne.